Welcome to where we welcome to celebrating everyday people, heard exclusively on malcolmpresents.com and take
Sprout.
and Buzzsprout. Hey,
Yes.
I'm Malcolm Burman, your host or co-host or co-producer, and my other co-producer is Yana Larson. And Yana, introduce our other two friends.
Well, our other two friends are on our team
With
because we're adding depth to our show celebrating everyday people. We have Tassin Bashar and we have Brigitte Ben Ali or Ely. I'm never sure how I should pronounce it. How do I pronounce it, Brigitte?
Ben Ely.
Ben Ely, yes. And Birgit and Tassin are both from We the World, my previous colleagues. And I am no longer there, but I'm now fully on our podcast, and they are assisting us. And we hope to add more content and depth to what we're doing. Tassin will hopefully be talking about and with people involved in public health in other parts of the world, among other things. And Brigitte will be talking, be our special arts segment leader and other things.
and other
So
things.
we're hoping to have a really fun packed, information packed experience.
Thank you, Yana.
You're
We're very
welcome.
excited to be here.
Yes. So we've had our
Yeah.
first show to launch our concept of our second season, and we're ready to go with more and more and better and better. And Tessie, I know you have somebody in mind to help out early with us, your colleagues in public health in Iran. Want to talk about that?
Our future guests.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I do there's a classmate of mine, he's a good friend of mine, and he is a talented biostatistician and an epidemiology student, graduate student. So he is interested to be on the show probably in the coming weeks. And in addition to that, I'm having certain connections on LinkedIn I can reach out to and try to, invite them to our future shows. So Um, let's see how it goes.
And why do you know these people? You should tell a little bit about your background.
Okay, sure. Um, I'm currently a volunteer at We the World and epidemiology graduate student. I'm having an undergrad degree in medicine, and I'm half Iranian and half from Bangladesh. I'm currently living in Iran. And I met Yana almost 2 years ago now on LinkedIn, and she introduced me to online volunteering. She helped me join We the World, and I did learn a lot from her during this time, and I really appreciate her sense of leadership, her skills, and everything about her. I'm really glad to have been her virtual assistant, and I really hope to carry on collaborating with her, with Malcolm, Brigitte, and many more wonderful people in the future.
Right. Can you
Yeah.
get any more in detail about what you're doing and what your papers are about and what you want to accomplish?
Oh, so currently I'm working on, multiple research projects. The thing, or like what we're doing now is like we start a research project and parallel to that, we start multiple others. So one is a systematic review about the role of sleep disorders and metabolism. That's almost, hitting completion. So I think we'll publish it in a good journal, before 2025 wraps up. And I'm doing a qualitative analysis called content analysis about the attitude of people towards dairy, because we've been seeing and hearing a lot of people changing their perspectives about the usage of dairy, which is not definitely not good because dairy is a rich source of calcium. And if you cease taking dairy, you have to address the deficit in calcium one way or the other. And most of the times it's not that easy. So most of the attitude that people are abstaining from dairy products is based on misconceptions, and we are going to address those misconceptions. And there is another research about a questionnaire, validating a questionnaire. Another one that I haven't started yet is about I don't know what. I'm not sure even about the title because we haven't started yet. So there are other studies too. One is about the role of artificial intelligence in predicting and determining future outcomes of lung cancer. So these are the studies I'm currently
You got your
working on.
hands full.
I'm sorry?
You got your hands full of all these
Yes, like
projects.
yeah, on top of that, like working for me, like preparing for my exams and the part-time teaching job I do, like there's a high school kid I tutor, so
Huh?
I'm
Well,
I'm
the thing
pretty
that you're talking about, which more takes or has been involved in the headlines, and the sleep deprivation. There seems to be more and more studies about that, especially as we get older. I mean, it seems, they're talking about seniors who really don't get enough rest because they go to sleep, but they keep wake up and stay up for hours before they go back to sleep. Is
I
that
never have that problem.
Lucky
I
you, I
always
do have that
sleep.
problem.
so the sleep issues is like with the
wait till you become older and you become a senior.
That's
I
cute,
am
Michael.
older.
But a lot of studies
And it's
now.
interesting, Jana, that you say that because I think there's a tendency that it affects probably females more than males, right? Just because if I think about, I mean, or at least having children, I think there's some underlying, that you always have this sense, I don't know, you just wake up because if there is something with the children, I realize this even, when my kids are out. I mean, now the older one
Oh,
is
but they're
different. She
still
says,
younger. They're still younger. Your youngest
"Well,
daughter's still around.
yeah, I mean, my husband can sleep through anything. I'm always like up and check the phone where she is, So I think it's the maternal instinct, maybe. I have no clue.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
that
yeah.
comes also the lack of sleep. So my sleep is a lot lighter.
Yeah,
Well, and it's hard to sleep in New York City because it seems like there's constant siren sounds. Whenever we're
That
talking,
too.
there's always a siren going on.
I
well,
agree with that. So I agree. I have a friend. She moved out of New York to New Jersey, and she said it was the first time that so they're already there since 2000 and quite a long time, 9 or something. And she said it was the first time that her husband started sleeping through the night. So there is some constant. But Tassim must have to have this too in Tehran, right? There's some constant noise unless you live in a beautiful green area.
Well, I live in a
it
very
is
Quiet.
beautiful.
green area, and
It
I don't
is
hear
yeah. Well, I
yeah,
keep
it is
on
beautiful.
hearing about the sleep apathy,
apathy.
Yeah.
apathy. My
Apathy.
mind is going. Uh, but now more and more, I hear more and more people have it. Now they have like machines that they sleep with the oxygen, and somehow they say people stop breathing, and that's like in the middle of
That's
the
Oh,
night,
with
and that's
sleep
when they
apnea,
wake
you
up.
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we go to Brigitte, I wanted to talk about one thing that Tassim, being in Iran a few weeks ago, had us. He had he his situation had us very nervous because he was living where the USA was bombing. And that was a rather frightening experience, and certainly one that caused sleep.
Why do you say that?
What?
I'm teasing.
But things are better now. So, all right, let's go to Brigitte. Brigitte, tell about what you do. You're very busy with We the World,
Yeah,
and
I'm busier than I expected now to be.
of
But
course you
so
are.
I thought, which is fine. Which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I have two lovely assistants who work with me, and they are a lot of help. But obviously, it requires also more communication, which gets difficult if times are busy as they are currently, right? So I'm with We. That's how I met Jana as well via We the World more than 3 years ago, and I think we connected very well. While Jana left and moved on, I'm still there, and that's where I met Tassina as well. And I am doing the events now, even though I thought of moving more into outreach. And like Jana, I think that we certainly have in common that we are very personable and like to communicate with people. And
And we
so
like
How many
we like to talk.
what
how
we
So
many
like to
events?
talk. Oh, don't ask me, Tasin. We had this. I don't. We shouldn't talk here now.
How
We
many
have
events
plenty
do
of.
you plan to host, Brigitte?
I don't know, Tasin. There are plenty of events, but I think we should focus on our podcast here now, which we are going to create.
well, it's
And
all part of it because we
it's
still,
so there are plenty of events. For Oil 11 campaigns with some people are going to be on more events on panel session. Whatever we would like to call this. Then others, but a lot is happening, and it's interesting, and a lot more could happen. But for that, we always have to start earlier, like it is with everything in life. And but it's going to be interesting. It's a lot of work.
so
It's a
Brigitte
lot of
has
work.
a background in art history, quite a bit of experience actually, and in the arts, and then being in New York City, of course, she's quite well connected there, but she's connected with artists all over the world because of her broad education and her travels, and so we really want to
It's
bring in that the idea about arts, and as Malcolm says. The arts are important to our enjoyment of life, and no matter what our political situations are that we're living in, the arts are important. And yes, you can't eat it and you can't sleep it, you can't live
I
in it,
think
but you can have it.
But
So
but
talk
it,
about
it enhance
it's
it enhances life.
yes.
I think it's more than an enhancement, and I think we often underestimate it. If you think about it, and many, like especially, I mean, I can speak now for the United States only, or for New York. The first thing where people cut or schools cut is education and music, arts, anything that is related to humanity. And then I stumbled once over a beautiful quote by Walt Whitman: "The soul of the nation is expressed through its art and culture." And I think art is more than that. So it expresses a lot more, and it unites us, and it tells a story about each of us, right? And so I think that's a wonderful way of using this to beyond of what we are going through now, because it's very hard to find connection, partly because we are so divided. And I think art is a wonderful way of connecting people from different places, and like art, and I mean art in the widest sense, like from music, to theater, to fine arts, to performance art. And just I think I have mentioned my background before, that I don't know, Justine, I lived in my professional and academic journey took me through 7 countries. And on top of that, being quite social, I have met a lot of people in these on this path, and I'm in New York now for 23 years. So I have a tendency to meet people here now. And the beautiful thing is actually that I have a friend from my days in Budapest who just contacted me the other day and said she is in New Haven. And I haven't been in touch with her for 20 years, over 20
Wow.
years. So I thought that's very beautiful. I love that. I have the same with other friends with whom I studied in Vienna. After 30 years, we suddenly reconnect. And that's the beauty also about being in New York. So that's where I am. That,
Yeah.
I think
they
that's the
always
beauty
say,
of social media, it's bringing us closer, no matter you're in
that's
New
true.
York or Connecticut or anywhere else. So, I mean, that's a miracle, to be honest. Like, I mean, the distances have vanished. So that's because of social media.
That's true.
That's the
Yeah.
advantage.
Yeah, hopefully through this show, a lot of more people will see you and want to say, "Oh yes, Birgit, that's," and contact you. By the way, if you want to contact us, it's malcolmpresents@gmail.com. Any questions you want, or if you want to be a guest on the show, please let us know. It's malcolmpresents@gmail.com. And
Yes, and we're getting ourselves out there better than we were before. So we have a Facebook page called Celebrating Everyday People. So we hope to be getting the news out. I've already contacted a lot of people from my world, and we have a lot of guests who are excited to be on. But what we like about what we can do on this show is because we're not affiliated with a 501c3 status, a nonprofit organization, is that we can talk about more things than we would have been able to talk about
well,
with our
in truth, we are a nonprofit, but it's unintentional. They should
Okay.
have an area, an unintentional nonprofit.
Oh yeah, yeah. I could be president of that club.
But anyway,
But
the new, yeah,
Malcolm, speaking of arts, that is also music is arts, language. Dance is part of the arts. You said you were a taxi driver as a job in college, you said? And
yeah,
what
during
did
the
you tell us about class?
well, during the weekends, and I grew up in Manhattan and well, in Brooklyn, but I drove a cab. I went to City College in New York, so during the weekends, to pick up some extra money, I drive a yellow cab, and I would drive in Manhattan. And the story, I
And
think, and I think
what kind of music did you like to listen to?
I think the story that Yana wants me to tell, which I've already said on, I don't know, on this show and other shows, but I used to listen, I was late teen, 18, 19, 20, and listening to rock and roll. But it was the rock and roll was always fast. And here I was in traffic in Manhattan, and you can't go, you're bumper to bumper. So all of a sudden, I tuned on to a classical station. It was a station of the New York Times, and they had classical music. And all of a sudden, the world slowed down for me. So I could be stuck in traffic, but I wasn't impatient because I wanted to hear the next movement. The same way I started listening to opera. And all of a sudden, I listened to the sopranos hitting the high note, and sort of like the note went into my heart. Sort of all of a sudden, you hear it, and there was some other feelings that I can't even express right now. That's what I was thinking was when we were trying to discuss, what art is. Art is something like I was saying, it's like trying to discuss what is love. How do you know when you're in love? It's a feeling, but what is it? I don't know. Same thing when you see a beautiful work of art, a painting, a sculpture, or music. It engenders a feeling. Excuse
And
me.
it can evoke
That,
so
that to
many
me,
memories.
that to me is, undefinable, and I don't want to define it. But anyway, we want to get people who in their everyday life is doing something that they're ordinary people normally. They're like us, but they do things to make the world better or a better place. I mean, it could be it could be just one incident they have, which I'd like to speak to, like as we're talking about people who run into burning buildings to save people, or to stop on the street to help someone that's fallen. These are everyday people. They're not heroes. They're everyday people living their everyday lives. But in essence, they are heroes. They
Yes. And they
they do
don't think
above and beyond.
and they don't think of themselves as being extraordinary,
Yeah,
but
no.
they are just like with simple acts of kindness, random acts of
Right.
kindness, just showing love and care for your fellow human being. And that would be going back to a novel concept of care with how things seem to be going. But, there are still a lot of good people out there, even if you don't hear about them in the news. And that's what we want to,
We want to bring
sort of
this up. Actually, when we see a story or read it, we can just don't even have to, uh, contact them or try to, which is almost impossible. But to read it on the air, like if you see stories of people doing something heroic, not even heroic, just being people, and
being kind. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, do contact malcolmpresents@gmail.com. We'd love to have you on the show, talk to you. If you know someone, it can be a teacher, it could be a parent, a grandparent, a child, just anyone that you see doing great things. We want to celebrate that. It may be that people are part of a nonprofit organization. Maybe they're not, but it's time to recognize the goodness that's out there and the positive.
But and people don't even realize they're doing anything extraordinary. In fact,
Right.
I was talking to a friend of mine, um, Gary, and I was talking about doing the show because he's a videographer and he's been doing some other shows with me in the past. And I was saying about the everyday people, and I said, "Oh yeah, I for the last 20 years I've been teaching uh, music instruments, teaching people how to play on extra school programs." I said, "Oh, do you get paid for it?" He said, "No, it's I do volunteer work," and he doesn't even realize that he's one of our uh,
Well, let's get him
big.
on the show.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
And he teaches, to underprivileged children instruments, music, because that's his real. When he grows up, of course, he's about 70 now. But when he grows up, he wants to be into music. And he is. He writes music, but he's constantly playing. But he doesn't realize that he's doing extraordinary things because he feels he's an ordinary person. Everybody should be doing something like that. These are the type of
You know,
people
in
we
some
want to
ways,
speak
he's
to.
actually right? It should become, shouldn't be something special.
Well, that's what we need in the world today. That's the thing is everybody is so preoccupied with other things and they don't even realize that what they're doing is extraordinary.
Yes.
And these are,
Yeah.
as I say, these are ordinary people, but they don't realize the extraordinary thing, the volunteer work they're
Themselves
doing
for
and the good
granted,
that they're doing.
thinking that, oh, well, anyone can do it. Well, but not anyone
And
does
everyone
do
doesn't.
it.
Everyone, most people, do their work, go home, turn on the TV and have dinner.
Well, I don't know about most, but a lot of people do. I think a lot of people, in my world growing up, a lot of people went home and then they went on to take their kids to soccer practice and swimming practice and took their took their families skiing and swimming and doing things and that's how I grew up. So
But
and
you
I
know, that's important too. Think about it. Change starts within the smallest nucleus, right? I mean, if you speak about family, if we raise kind and compassionate children, they will spread the same kindness and compassion.
Yeah,
That's how it
yeah,
starts. Change
yeah, well,
starts in a small.
and you don't realize the influence that you have on your kids. I mean, my boys are 27 and 29, or actually 30, my oldest. And, when we talk together and we talk about certain things in our lives, they remember certain incidences that I don't remember, certain events. Either I did something or I did something for them or for something else. And they say, remember when?
yeah.
And when I did it, it was just part of my living, but they remembered it. And to me, it's totally out of my memory. In fact, sometimes as I grow older, yesterday was out of my memory.
Well, that's all part of it. And at the time you just think how exhausting it is to work all day and then go on and do all the extra work at home stuff. But boy, not having that anymore, I miss it. And so I'm glad to continue to carry on in any way that I can. Um,
Well,
Tessie, do you have any words of wisdom from Iran to impart to us?
Things are pretty normal here nowadays. Nothing, out of the
normal
ordinary
means
going on
there's no
here.
bombing.
Yeah, no bombing, but there's a big heat wave, here, so it's very hot.
Oh,
So yeah, the temperature rises to like 42, 43 degrees Celsius. I don't know what's that in Fahrenheit. Probably
No, it's
around 110 degree Fahrenheit or something. Really hot.
Well, I was reading in Israel the other day. I think it was like
It's
52
hotter
degrees
even. It
centigrade.
was 52 degrees, 51 degrees. And I
Was it?
actually
Wow.
met some,
It's 128 degrees Fahrenheit.
yeah, yeah. It was,
That's
and you know what is
unbelievable.
very, yeah, and what's very interesting, talking to everyone. I was in the park with our dog here in Central Park, and I met actually an Israeli woman who's very reluctant, obviously, in the present climate to say that she's Israeli, but we started talking, and obviously, so listen, there, I think the majority of Israelis don't want what's happening there. Um, but what we were talking about, she said the entire world is just in war while the globe is going. She said, while we have these problems with this climate, which is going to destroy all of us. So it would be much wiser to focus on the things that really matter instead of just fighting about whatever from nationalistic religious feeling, whatever the motivation is, right, in any conflict. So, and I thought
Yeah. And
she's right. The world is falling apart in terms of climate. It's
how is it in New York City? Because I'm in Ohio, so you kind of get what you get it the next day. It's been really hot and humid this week
it was
here.
very humid. I mean, now it's 31 degrees at 2:40. But it was really worse. We partly had 39 degrees here, and the problem is in the city, you know, it's one thing if you live like in probably in California or even Ohio, we are stuck between high rises and quite a lot of trash. So it's unpleasant, when you have the heat stuck between the buildings, including the trash on the street, it's a nice mix. But it's very unpleasant and very, very hot and humid. The worst is probably the humidity.
Yes, and it's the concrete canyons, I think is what they call it with
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
radiation.
exactly.
How hot has it been there in California where you are? In all the
Well,
forest?
where I am, it hasn't really been bad. It's the highest has been in the sometimes in the 90s in the afternoon, which is bearable because there's really no humidity. And
Yeah,
today
Yeah.
I
that's
was
nice.
out walking. It was in the 70s and no sunshine, which is great, which I love.
But there've been a lot of forest fires in the
Forest
area.
fires not near here, like in about 300-400 miles away from me, but you get the fumes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was talking to
That we
the
feel here
same
in New
off the
York too,
camera,
from Canada.
and he's doing things about air and fresh breathing, and some of the studies that he's doing, and on the lungs, and it's not good being outside unless you can't breathe because
Yes.
the toxic air, and really we're not going to feel this till generations later. What's happening if we live to be generations? There's a movie out on cable, I think on Apple, on not cable, on the apps on Apple, and it's called Extra. Now I always forget the name of it. Thinking about forgetting. It's called Extrapolation.
Extraholation.
Yeah, extrapolation. Extrapolation, which is actually a word.
Extrapolating means it's like a statistical term. Means like taking a trend and like continuing it and like predicting what it would be like after 10 years. If the current, trend continues, if the
Yeah,
current,
I never heard that word.
if the current pattern continues, that's called extrapolating.
But it's I think an 8-part series, and right now I started out in 2037. Now I think I'm on 2046, and it's what we're talking about. It's about the Earth becoming uninhabitable.
Yeah.
That there the fires all over the world. That there are droughts all over parts of the world, and other parts of the world there's flooding, and we're talking about the icebergs melting, and in the lowlands are flooding. Some of the islands are not going to be there anymore. They were doing a thing on actually it was a rabbi in Miami whose temple was underwater, and they're losing their land, and all these outlying islands are going to be lost. It's sort of I think there was a movie called Waterworld years ago,
Oh,
that
yeah.
people lived on boats. And we might be reduced to that if we can live on Earth at all. And this is irreversible. Things that what's happening now can be reversed, most of it, but not the atmosphere. The atmosphere is we're ruining, and it's going to be, you know, I forget what point it is, but they have a clock that's so the point of no return.
Well,
And I
there are
hope we are.
I was just going to say there are a lot of people out there that in their own homes, in their own communities, are working to think green, be green, make reduce their carbon footprints, and so we're going to celebrate those people too.
Yeah.
So we
You're
definitely.
speaking my mind. That's what I wanted to say.
Well,
That
that's a
there
key
should be
word.
always hope and action, and these are the people we bring on here to celebrate them.
Yeah, the
Right.
carbon footprint. The key word is carbon,
Hmm.
and carbon is oil and gas, and
Yep.
coal. That is ch changing our climate. Except some people say that's fake news.
We'll celebrate all the steps people are taking to do their parts, and we all did just one thing. It
Yeah,
would all add up. So
again,
we'll
small,
celebrate
yeah,
all those people doing one thing,
right. Small. Yeah, it starts out with one person helping one person.
and
That's
it
all it
doesn't have to
really
be
takes.
huge steps, just small steps to do, and we'll all do that and celebrate that.
As Confucius said, a trip of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
True.
Um, Amen.
Well said.
Yeah.
If Confucius didn't say that, he should have.
Yes. Yes. Or maybe it was Irma Bombeck.
Maybe,
Remember
or maybe it was Jana Larson
when I was in kindergarten.
doing the best she can. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining me or joining us, and you're part of us.
Being part
So
of the team, yeah.
as a team, and
Thank you.
we'll be lining up someone for. I think we'll have our first. Well, this is a real show, but we'll have our first guest on right next week.
Yeah. I don't know who yet.
We'll call him the mystery guest. Please sign in, please, or her. Anyway,
Yeah,
guys,
like that one. Oh, what's my line?
yeah. For
Thank
the
you,
I
Malcolm,
don't know
Brigitte, and
if
Jana.
Yeah, thank you,
who's
Jana and
old enough
Malcolm.
to remember what's my line. Me too, but I don't know if it was in other countries that where they were growing up. But
We
anyway,
probably
guys,
got the idea from them, but a lot of
yeah,
the good shows that we watch come from England.
you have a great week.
Yes, everybody stay
Yeah.
safe, stay
And
happy, stay doing the good
Weekend.
work we
and
do,
and
and
remember, you're listening to tell us the name of the show. Celebrating
celebrating everyday
everyday
people.
people. Heard on.
MalcolmPresents.com and Buzzsprout
And how can you reach us?
to MalcolmPresents@gmail.com.
It's good to have somebody that's your memory. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
everyone.